This week on his radio show, Howard Stern defended wokeism, saying it's a compliment when someone calls him woke. Listen.
If woke means I can't get behind Trump, which is what I think it means, or that I support people who want to be transgender, or I'm for the vaccine, well, dude, call me woke as you want. I'm not for stupidity, but I am woke, motherfucker, and I love it.
Oh dear, he swore. He swore that'll win over the woke. He's a regular Huey Newton of the Hamptons.
Well, I know some of them, and like Howard, I was on Howard Stern's show as much as anybody, and
yeah.
he was great at that time, and then he went woke.
Yeah.
And since he's gone woke, his ratings have...
Howard Stern didn't just sell out, it feels like he put his whole legacy on clearance. And Greg Gutfeld and Donald Trump showed up ready, with receipts and plenty of fireworks. Once the king of controversy, now playing it safe, Stern's shift is so dramatic it almost invites the jokes. Gutfeld cuts in with sharp humor, Trump comes in loud and enjoying every second. And together, they turn Stern's move from bold to forgettable into a roast that's hard to ignore. This isn't a comeback. It's a comedy show you won't want to miss.
Well, it is weird because he criticizes Trump for dividing the country, and then he says he hates his supporters. So he's not learning from his own analysis. I think he might have turned into the thing he hated. He needs to go back and watch the movie Private Parts and focus on how he portrayed Don Imus, because he's kind of turned into Don Imus in a way. It's a mix of ego and resentment.
Howard Stern, he's a weak guy. He's weak. He's going, what about, It was so ridiculous. Even she was embarrassed. It was like softball.
Howard Stern, the self-proclaimed king of all media, now feels more like the king of public meltdowns. It's honestly strange watching someone who built a career throwing verbal punches at the system suddenly come off cautious and overly careful, reacting strongly to ideas he once would have challenged. If irony had value, Stern would be cashing in non-stop. This is the same guy who once pushed back against conformity, and now he seems to lean right into the mainstream, like he's trying out for a friendly TV feature.
Stern can call snacking with celebs at a fancy restaurant exhausting. Exhausting. Like he finished the overnight shift in a coal mine, or hearing Kat talk about her pets.
It's fair.
But I get it, life is tough, especially when you've been cut off from the world for 2 years in a $20 million beach house. I mean, you have no idea how tiring it is walking all the way from the wine cellar to the tennis court and back.
See, Greg Gutfeld wouldn't even need a full monologue to take apart the current version of Howard. Just a mirror, that's enough. Howard is looking at who he used to be versus who he is now. It doesn't feel like a transformation. It feels more like a full reset, with an update driven by fear, mixed signals, and a need to play it safe. And then Trump shows up. Not subtle at all, more like a loud, blunt punchline. Watching him talk about Howard now feels like a rock star chuckling at a wedding DJ. He's not even mad, just genuinely confused.
The opposite of woke to me is asleep, and I think I'm awake. This must have gotten Trump all charged up, because at 3 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday, technically Sunday morning, he starts tweeting out, Howard Stern is a broken loser, jerk off, not loyal, the usual, tirade. And I thought to myself, I'll tell you my thought on it was, what?
Stern went from the guy who pushed buttons to someone who feels like he asks permission just to heat up his food. Remember when Howard used to be edgy, back when he made late-night hosts nervous and radio stations walk on eggshells? Now he makes Joy Behar seem bold by comparison. He's not edgy anymore. He feels smoothed out, polished, and carefully packaged to stay on the safe side.
That Stern hit a chic restaurant in NYC with a crew of A-listers, including Jimmy Kimmel, Jennifer Aniston, Jon Hamm, Justin Theroux, Jason Bateman. I was not invited. I guess because my first name doesn't begin with the letter J.
Greg Gutfeld looks at Stern's path the way a comic calls out the hypocrisy in a big Hollywood speech. This was the rebel. Now he's pointing out how the same guy who once mocked celebrities for being out of touch is standing right there with them, signing autographs on the same kind of yacht he used to make fun of. He used to call out celebrity egos. Now he feels like part of the crew. The Stern of today seems worried about being canceled, like the internet is right outside his window with pitchforks and hashtags.
Howard, I knew him very well. I was on the show many times. I used to think he was good. Then I dropped him. And I dropped him like a dog. And his ratings are very challenged. Very challenged.
To be fair, that might even be true, but the old Howard wouldn't have cared. He would have gone on air and dared people to come after him, while this version feels like it's apologizing before the joke is even made. It doesn't feel like growth, more like going backward. Almost a Benjamin Button kind of PR story. Trump, on the other hand, seems more amused than anything, barely needing to say much because just being around feels like it throws Stern off and pushes him into another careful, scripted moment. Howard now comes across so worried about offending anyone that even small things feel overthought, while Gutfeld steps in with confidence and a sharp edge, picking apart Stern's new image like it's a TV character nobody really asked for. He doesn't just call him out for seeming fake, he calls him boring, which in media can feel like the worst thing of all, because at least controversy keeps people watching. Now, Stern feels like a repeat of his own choices, and it's a bit sad to see someone who once pushed limits now focused on staying inside them, going from breaking rules without hesitation to barely wanting to cross even the smallest line.
Also, vote for that wall over there.
Well, he's half right. We do need a wall. To keep out gang members, fentanyl dealers, human traffickers, and Anna Navarro. What's funny, though, is that Stern actually thought that was a compliment. Stern has become such a wussified sycophant, he doesn't realize that telling Kamala that he'd vote for a wall is telling her that he knows she's as dumb as one.
Gutfeld, with his trademark smirk, jokes that Howard's microphone should come with a seatbelt and an apology guide. Every show now feels like it's been run through a corporate HR filter. And his interviews? What used to be raw, unpredictable conversations now feel so sterile you'd think he was talking to bacteria in a lab. Trump, wherever he is, throws shade effortlessly. To him, Stern is just another washed-up media relic trying to stay relevant by clinging to the same circles he once torched. He doesn't even need to insult him outright. Just pointing out Stern's new friends and alliances is enough to get laughs. Howard, who used to roast these very types, has gone from fearless provocateur to a roach motel for Hollywood's most recycled opinions. He used to bite the hands that fed him. Now he's licking boots, not designer ones, just the bargain bin version stamped elite approval.
Kat, I find that his definition of wokeism is very simplistic. I mean, it's like, it's not about COVID jabs.
I didn't get that either. He was like, I love the vaccine. I'm woke.
It's not unlike Howard Stern. I mean, talk about a transition. On Tuesday, he conducted an interview with Kamala Harris that was so simpering and feminine, I got my period while listening to it.
Howard still thinks he's the rebel, holding on to the idea that saying, "I used to be wild," somehow gives him street cred, like a guy in a leather jacket at a retirement home, telling more stories nobody asked for. Meanwhile, Greg Gutfeld tears him apart with precision, scalpel in one hand, punchline in the other. Stern practically writes his own parody. The man who once ran uncensored radio now runs every thought through a filter before it hits the airwaves. It's like watching a punk band reunite to play elevator music. The same faces, but the soul is gone. Trump, ever amused, just shrugs. Stern's evolution doesn't threaten him, it entertains him. Watching Howard try to stay relevant while leaving behind everything that made him interesting is almost sad. A decade ago, Trump could sneeze and stir more controversy in a month of Stern's sanitized monologues. And the ratings? Forget it. Stern's numbers, once the envy of every network exec, are now a PowerPoint slide. The audience didn't vanish. They grew up and realized the rebel was faking it. Howard didn't lose them, he left them behind for a better Yelp review from his celebrity friends.
Even when I watch them on Saturday Night Live with the where they have Maya Rudolph playing you, I hate it. I don't want you being made fun of.
Oh my God.
There's too much at stake. I believe the entire future of this country right now, I mean, as America, land of the free, home of the brave, I think it's literally on the line.
So a guy who's supposed to be funny for a living now claims her candidacy is too important to joke about. This is a guy who once joked right after the Columbine massacre that the killers should have raped the students before killing them. Not that I like that.
Greg Gutfeld delivers the kind of comedic fire that hits hardest because it's true. He doesn't just poke fun at Stern's fall, He shows the empty space it leaves behind. When the loudest voice in media starts whispering, the silence is deafening. Howard used to disrupt, now he conforms. He used to question everything, now he double-checks the script. The man who built a career on unpredictability has become broadcasting's most predictable figure. You could set a clock by his panic, and it's not just in his voice, it's in his choices. He's surrounded himself with yes men, echo chambers, and legacy media nods. Stern isn't trying to challenge anyone anymore. He's trying to fit in. And for someone who once thrived on standing out, that's the cruelest shift of all. Trump doesn't even flinch. What's Howard gonna do? Lecture him? That's like a balloon scolding a tank. One dose of real talk and Howard drifts off, clutching his vintage ego like a life preserver. The old Howard would have lit up the room, fired shots at everyone, and stood in the flames. The new Howard? He's asking producers if it's okay to have a controversial thought. It's not evolution, it's a character wipe.
It is incredibly brave to take this stance after you've made $400 million not being woke, right? Loving Donald Trump, exploiting the mentally ill, wearing blackface. Look at the crop of woke comments, whether it's Stern or Jimmy Kimmel, his BFF, Sarah Silverman, Joy Behar, Michael Ian Black. What do they all have in common? They wore blackface. And then they went woke. It's not a chicken or egg thing there. You know what order it came. So I call this BFR. It's blackface reparations. There's nothing in Stern's previous career that could withstand this modern witch hunt that he now embraces.
Every time Stern tries to reclaim relevance, Greg Gutfeld is there, holding up a mirror to what Howard used to be and what he's turned into. He's the scorekeeper to Howard's rerun. Because once you become the thing you once vowed to destroy, the only fans left are the ones who never knew the original you. Howard isn't evolving, he's hiding and doing it badly. Even chameleons change color with more conviction. Stern tries desperately to rewrite his own story to stay on the right side of history. But history keeps receipts, and Gutfeld reads them out loud, line by line, hypocrisy by hypocrisy. And Trump, he's the relentless footnote Howard wishes he could delete, but just keeps trending. The fearless rebel is gone, replaced by a well-groomed echo chamber. Howard used to take shots at celebrities, now he drives them around. He used to throw punches, now he throws polite parties. Gutfeld lands the ultimate insult. Not that Howard is wrong, but that he's boring. For someone who built an empire on shock and awe, becoming a safe, filtered version of yourself is a betrayal even your diehard fans can't ignore.
I really had an exhausting weekend. Emotionally, physically. For the first time in 2 years, I ventured out of the house. Now, maybe he's exaggerating. We all do that. In fact, the more successful you get in media, the more exhausting the easiest things become.
And Donald? He's just sitting back, watching the collapse like a spectator at a demolition derby who bet on the building falling sideways and savoring every glorious second. This isn't a story of reinvention. It's surrender. Howard Stern didn't climb to a new level. He sank into the couch cushions of celebrity approval, surrounded by throw pillows stitched with lukewarm opinions. He doesn't make headlines anymore, he reads them carefully, like one wrong word could get him uninvited from the next bland industry gala. Meanwhile, Gutfeld's quips hit harder than ever, and Trump is circling Stern's reputation like a kid discovering recess just got extended. Howard's biggest fear isn't offending anyone, it's being irrelevant. And that ship didn't just sail, it took the whole harbor with it. He's now the cautionary tale, the media rebel who got tamed, and the microphone warrior who traded chaos for wine spritzers and photo ops. Gutfeld laughs non-stop. Trump keeps winning. And Howard? He keeps apologizing. Once the self-proclaimed maverick of radio, he's now just another echo in the canyon of conformity. Once feared, now ignored. Once raw, now shrink-wrapped and sold next to the gluten-free aisle of corporate America.
He swore that'll win over the woke. He's a regular Huey Newton of the Hamptons. Here's my theory. Wokeism is a contagion. Stern got it from Jimmy Kimmel, his new best friend, and Kimmel got it from his wife, and his wife got it from where you get all infections, a toilet.
No punchline needed. Howard Stern became the punchline himself. And the crazy part? There's still more to come. Just when you think he's peaked at self-parody, he rolls out another polished, overthought monologue that sounds less like radio and more like a LinkedIn post written by a PR intern sipping oat milk. The man who once torched Hollywood with a flamethrower now practically begs for a spot at their vegan brunch table. His biggest flex these days is bragging about who he's not offending. Safety, not edge, has become his standard. Gutfeld doesn't even need fresh material. He just replays old Howard clips and points at the screen. See, that guy had gets. The current guy, he has a Netflix password and anxiety. Trump doesn't need a script either. He drops a line or two, and it lands harder than Howard's entire sanitized weekly broadcast. The fall isn't funny because it's tragic. It's funny because it's perfectly documented. Every move, every pivot, every desperate grab for elite approval is laid bare. No mask, no mystery, just a high-def trail of contradictions. And while Howard basks in compliments from those who once feared him, Gutfeld and Trump keep doing what Howard pretended to do for decades. Call out the circus from the outside, not juggle in it.